Alright, I'm going to try to catch up on some of the Golden State Warriors coding. It's definitely connected to a lot of other events that are going on. I'm going to skip over this part about the Portland game on 3/11. I mean, there's some information here. It's kind of just repetitive of what I had said in previous videos. I want to skip over to the Knicks game tonight. I made a post about how, I could be wrong, but I think that the Warriors are going to keep winning out. They're going to win until they're at least 61-6 against the Knicks. And that game is also today. But 61-6 is a super interesting number with the Warriors anyway. They won the NBA Finals last year on 6-1-6. Also, if you go to 9/23, 6/16 to 9/23 is a span of 99 days. 9/23, the day with 99 days left. I talked a lot about the 99 coding in regards to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, Barack Obama, also the Super Bowl and how it tied into Abraham Lincoln or Barack Obama and Abraham Lincoln assassinations. The other reason that I think they're going to win, they're even going to beat the Knicks and then even beat Dallas, is because it would make their record 62-6 going into the San Antonio Spurs game on March 19th. Also, if you go from March 19th to 6/26, it's a span of 99 days. The reason I mentioned 6/26, it's just the YouTube agents were showing me that day again. Seems like a very important day, the 62 and the 26 mirrors. It's also connected, the 99's connected to the Warriors. If the Warriors don't win, they'll be 61-8, which also seems fitting because of the death of Nancy Reagan. Nancy Reagan in Jewish gematria, also in English gematria, equals 618. I even showed in the previous video how if you write out 618, it even has, it's 199 and also 919, just like the 262nd day of the year, September 19th, 919 or 19-9. Also, 319, the day they play the Spurs, is literally 26 weeks and 2 days before 919, which is normally the 262nd day of the year. San Antonio Spurs in gematria even equals 62. So, seems pretty fitting for the Warriors to go into that game 62-6. Like I said, though, I could be wrong. Maybe it's 61 and maybe somehow they're going to be 61-8. Maybe they'll lose tonight and be 60-7, which kind of makes sense because the 607th or 607 is the 111th prime. So it could make sense that they would lose. I just really think they're going to be 62-6 when they play the Spurs. Also, just with the 6 on the outside and the 6 on the inside, it fits with all the mirrors. So it would be like 63-6, 64-6, 65-6, and whatnot. So interesting. 63-6 would be 36 and 63 mirrors, and so on. Also, the game against the Blazers then on March 11th, 3/11, was the Warriors' 64th game. The 64th prime is 3/11. Steph Curry wears number 30. The 30th prime is 113, the mirror of 3/11. Stephen Curry even equals 64 in gematria. Interesting too, Cleveland hasn't won a sports championship since 1964. But also the 3/11 ties into the KKK, K the 11th letter, so 3 times 11, or 311. And then 64 is all about the civil rights. Civil rights equals 64. The Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. When Lyndon B. Johnson was the president, he equals 64. He even died age 64. A lot more to that as well, but just interesting. Also, Barack Hussein Obama, 64, and Joe Biden, 64. Also, like I said, I talked about how the 34 seems to be connected to the Pope Francis's visit to the United States, or his trip that began in Cuba on 9/19, and then he went to the White House at 9/23 on 9/23. even arrived in the United States the day before on his 923rd day as Pope. I've also talked a lot about the royal family, and Prince Charles will become King Charles if Queen Elizabeth dies and whatnot. But interesting, he's connected to a 64 as well. When he was 64 years old, he tied William IV as the oldest person to become king. This guy was actually the king, but when Prince Charles turned 64, he tied him, so if he becomes the king, he will be the oldest person to become a king. And that would have been it when he was 64. So, whatever. He's 67 now, so it'll be 67. But just pointing out the 64, Queen Elizabeth just had her 64th anniversary of becoming queen, 34 days before the Blazers played the Warriors again. And Prince Charles tied William IV on 9/19 of 2013. So once again, this 262 number sticking out, the 919. It's even 3 years and 4 days before 923 this year. The Blazers even had 34 wins going into the game on 3/11. I suspected that they would lose and keep their 34 wins, which they did. Anyway, maybe I actually haven't talked about it. Maybe I only posted the 34 stuff, so I apologize. But I'm going to explain a little bit of how the 34 connects to the 923. So LeBron, Steph Curry, and also Klay Thompson all had games of 9 of 23 last year. And they shot 9 of 23. This year, the only player on either team, the Warriors or the Cavs, who shot 9 of 23 was LeBron James against the New York Knicks on 11/4 of 2015. LeBron James even adds up to 114. He shoots 9 of 23 on 11/4. 34 games later, they lost to the Warriors by 34 points on 118. And then also 34 games after this, the Cavs play the Knicks again. So LeBron does it against the Knicks. And then 68 games later, he plays the Knicks again. And it's also 68 days before the NBA Finals begin. Barack Obama equals 68 in Gematria. Then the Warriors out of nowhere lost to the Los Angeles Lakers, which was interesting. It was 9 months and 23 days after the Philadelphia train wreck that happened at 9:23 p.m. on May 12th last year. Remember, LeBron was in the movie Trainwreck. Trainwreck equals 122 in Gematria. Pope Francis equals 122 in Gematria. Golden State equals 122 in Gematria. Then the next night, though, the Cavs defeated the Lakers. So the Warriors lost to the Lakers, then the Cavs beat the Lakers. But when the Cavs had 51 points, LeBron James, number 23, he got the ball in the post, and he was guarded by the really small guy, number 9, Huertas, of the Lakers. And Huertas actually knocked the ball away, or LeBron lost the ball, and he didn't score. So interesting, they had 51 points, and then he got guarded up to a 9 of 23, and then lost the ball. So I don't know if that signifies that LeBron, the 9 of 23, is a bad thing for LeBron to be connected to. His name in Jewish Gematria even adds up to 923. Interesting, though, when it happened, they had 51 points. Cleveland hasn't won a sports championship in 51 years. LeBron James, with the S exception, equals 51. Cleveland equals 51. Cleveland Cavs equals 51. They lost to the Warriors on Christmas Day, which was 51 days after LeBron shot 9 of 23 on November 4th. 51, also, the word conspiracy equals 51. Anyway, also in that game, Channing Frye of the Cleveland Cavs, who came from the Orlando Magic, which, interesting, I'll mention that later on as we go, but Channing Frye had a good game. At halftime, they even put up a little comparison of Huertas and also Frye. They're both number 9, so the 99. September 23rd, with 99 left. Golden State Warriors and Gematria even equals 99. They won the NBA Finals 99 days before 923 last year. But Channing Frye being traded from the Orlando Magic, that's the team that the Warriors just beat to break the Chicago Bulls' 44 consecutive home game win streak. I also went through and I I found all of the players who have shot 9 of 23 this year. A whole bunch of them connect to the Orlando Magic, which is interesting because the Orlando Magic were the team that knocked the Bulls out of the playoffs when Michael Jordan first came out of retirement after wearing number 45 for 22 games and then switched back to 23 on the 23rd game. They lost to the Magic in the playoffs, and that's when he switched back. Also, the guy that he was traded for, though, Jared Cunningham, he was born on 5/22, the same day that David Blatt, the Cavs coach, was born. Also, David Blatt was fired 122 days before this day on 1/22. This guy, though, also from Oakland, California, where the Warriors play. So, I mean, a lot of crazy coding. David Blatt's full name in gematria even equals 146, just like Oakland, California. He was fired 143 games after coaching the Cavs. His birthday this year is also on the 143rd day of the year. Which is, it's also 5/22, which connects to Antonin Scalia. Antonin Scalia equals 51 in gematria. The word Antonin equals 5/22 in Jewish gematria. It was 522 weeks that he died after Dick Cheney shot his lawyer buddy in the face. And Scalia also was quail hunting the day before, just like Dick Cheney. Also, Scalia died on the 44th day of the year. Tons of 44 connections. The date numerology of the first game of the NBA Finals is even 44. The Warriors have been in Golden State for 44 years. King James equals 44 in gematria. Lots of other stuff with that. Just note there's a lot of 44 connections. Also, this guy is 24 years old. The one that Channing Frye was traded for. Just interesting. I've talked a lot about the 24 and whatnot in regards to Kobe Bryant, and also the X theme that was in the Super Bowl and whatnot. The NBA Finals also have a date numerology of 24. If you take out the 20, 6 plus 2 plus 16 equals 24. And then I also talked about the death of John Hot Rod Williams, a former Cleveland Cavalier who died 5 months and 22 days before the finals begin this year. So interesting, all these 5/22 connections to the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's also the same day that Antonin Scalia died, on the 44th day of the year. So it makes it seem like, to me, that the Cavs are going to lose to the 44. But also, in regards to that, Channing Frye also used to play for the Blazers. He even wore number 44 for the Blazers. So just interesting. If you write out June 2nd, 2016, it equals 114, just like LeBron James. Just like the day that he shot 9 of 23. 9/23 last year to 11/4 was a span of 1 month and 12 days. It's also 211 days before the NBA Finals begin. So just the mirrors, 112, 211. The Cavs also beat the Lakers in the 108th time that they've ever played, the two teams have ever played. The score even ended up being 120 to 108. If you add that up, it's 208. Golden State Warriors equals 108 even, but anyway, you added up 228, 228 equals 108. 120 equals 215, which is interesting because this is the last day of Lupercalia. It's also 108 days before the NBA Finals begin. So just once again, I feel like it's coding to the Warriors. Also, if you write 108 out as a date, 10/8, October 8th, it's 34 weeks before the NBA Finals. And then August 10th, which can also be written as 10/8, is 9 months, 23 days before the NBA Finals this year. August 10th, also the 222nd day of the year normally. This year it's the 223rd. But last year it was the 222nd day. Anderson Varejao was picked up on 2/22. The Warriors also beat the Blazers on March 11th 2 months, 22 days before the finals. Varejao from there, or picked up because. So yeah, Varejao picked up because the Blazers dropped him or whatever. So interesting. Also, I made a video on this date as well. There was a whole lot of interesting stuff that happened in the NBA on that day. The Bulls lost in 4 overtimes to Detroit, and the score ended up being 147 to 144. The Warriors beat the Bucks 121 to 112. It was the first time they played since the Bucks beat them. The Bucks were the first team to beat them this year. They beat them on 12-12. So interesting, they win 121 to 112 the next time. Which also made me wonder, since the Bulls lost with 144 points, if you write out the word 44, it equals 144, a number tied to political assassinations and whatnot. But since the Bulls lost and the Warriors are chasing the Bulls' 44-game win streak, and then this game even went to 4 overtimes, it just made me wonder if it's signifying the Warriors not winning the finals, or maybe it was just showing that the Warriors were going to beat the Bulls' record. So also the same day, the Knicks played the 76ers. The 76ers tied to Golden State. The Warriors used to be from Philadelphia, where the 76ers are from. But all of the reporting showed that the score was 107 to 97. Or the score was 107 to 97. All of the reports showed that the score was 107 to 7. Which, I don't know, I talked about that. That was Mike D'Antoni's first game after becoming the associate head coach for the 76ers. Michael D'Antoni equals 65 in gematria. The date numerology, 12 plus 18 plus 20 plus 15, added up to 65. The word Philadelphia, the small way, equals 65. Also, when I re-looked it up, the Knicks went on a stretch here where there was 107 points scored in 4 straight games. So December 16th, they beat the Timberwolves 107 to 102. The next game, they beat the 76ers 107 to 97. Then they beat Chicago 107 to 91. Then they lost to Orlando 107 to 99. So a lot of 107 coding to the Knicks and whatnot. Just interesting. 4 games in a row, and they lose to Orlando, which, once again, I might just make a whole other video and talk about it. I should have made this video the other day. I just didn't have time. It would have made a lot more sense. Anyway, notice that LeBron was 9 of 23, 107 days before the Warriors lost to Philadelphia on 2/19. Back-to-back championships in gematria equals 2/19. The NBA season started on October 27th to the first day of the NBA Finals is 219 days. Championship equals 131. If you write out the word 131, it equals 107. But the Knicks also played the 76ers again on the day that Cleveland lost by 34 to the Warriors. And the Knicks lost that game 119 to 113, which just sticks out because 113 I've seen a lot around the Warriors and whatnot. And it's been mostly a successful number, so interesting. Also, this was the Knicks' 43rd game of the season. The first time that they played was 43 days before the Warriors played the 76ers for the first time this season. The Warriors beat the 76ers, giving them a record of 43-4, the Mirrors, 43-34. The Warriors also won that game with 108 points. Golden State Warriors equals 108. The video on ESPN even was a minute 43. Interesting, if you write out the word 143, it equals 113 as well. Been seeing this number a lot around the Warriors and the Cavs, so interesting, it's 113. The Warriors' very next game after this game, they played the Knicks on 131. Exactly 1 year after their home game win streak began. Remember, 131 equals championship. It was also 44 days after 12/18, the day that the Warriors beat the Bucks to get their revenge. And also the day they messed that score up, the 107-7, the day that the Bulls lost with 144 points in 4 overtimes. But when the Warriors played the Knicks on 131, their record became 44-4, the 4-4-4. Another thing that sticks out, though, is that the total score of that game adds up to 211. You know, LeBron got 9 of 23, 211 days before the NBA Finals against the Knicks. The day that he did that, also to the day that the Warriors beat the Knicks, getting their 44-4 record, was a span of 2 months, 27 days, a number that is super special to the Warriors. 227 is the 49th prime. Warriors equals 49. Lots of other stuff. I made previous videos on the Oklahoma City Thunder games versus the Warriors that involve the 227. 222 divided by 7 is even 3.14, similar to pi. Steph Curry was even born on March 14th. 314. It can also be written as 14-3, kind of like 143. But anyway, I'm going to end this one here. Hopefully it makes sense. I'm just trying to backtrack and I'm getting kind of lost in my information, but I need to put this one out before I put out a different video about the 923 stuff. So here you go. Take it as it is. I'll see you in the next couple videos here. Have a good one.